welcome. Now today I've got a lot of interesting things around here, and the reason being is because today I'm going to iron out all the issues that I've had with this. Kind of like if you're a coder and you've created your program and you're just ironing out all the bugs. What I'm doing here basically, the equivalent of that. So, first of all, floppy drives. Yes, you will notice that I've taken out the commodore drive here. That is because it just felt wrong. It felt wrong using this as an internal drive when this is how I've always remembered it. Yes, I get sentimental over floppy disks and floppy drives too. But this has to be an external drive because it belongs with my Amiga 500, just like it did back in the day, back in the early 90s when we had it. There's just something about it that fits really well with my Amiga 500 in its original form. Now you'll have noticed that I've got lots of floppy drives here, a massive pile of them. No, I'm not somebody who collects and hoards floppy drives. These are from over the years, well, over the decades even. I've taken out of various machines and I've just go around the house, find all the floppy drives and just put them in one pile. A quick shout out to my brother, who you would have seen on my Nostalgia Time videos on my other gaming channel. I found your discs. You would have recognized the white disc box from back then. I came across it in the attic actually. The games compilation disc that you made. I don't know where games disc 2 and 1 are, and I think you did more. Now it's the inspiration I took from this when I made my games disc. He actually taught me how to do it. So I ended up making loads myself. And these are from back in the day. Now, let's talk floppy drives for a short while. These, I've gone through them earlier on this morning with my Amiga 500 and tested each of them, which of them works natively, which of them doesn't. Most of them, of course, are PC drives. This one is the internal Amiga 1200 drive. Of course, it works. I've used this as like a yardstick to testing the circuit with these, and I've found my the external Gotek circuit and got this working with them. I got one of these, which a while ago again. This is the drive ready version 1.1, and this is by Lethargic, the same guy I bought the Incognito upgrade from for my Atari 800. I'm one of these people who enjoys the sound of the floppy drive, and I kind of choose which one sounds the nicest, and not to mention looks the nicest. Now I've noticed that not every single drive works with this, but most of the time, most of them do. There's just some drives that are just a little odd. Now this is set, these jumpers here, it's already set as a DFO, I think, the J1. Now this is the one I've chosen. It's the Sony MPF920E. Now this one works with this adapter. So this is the one I'm going to use for DFO. However, there's something about it, which, and about all of the PC drives, double density discs are not readily available. You know, sometimes you have to use high density ones even though it's not preferred, but the problem with high density ones is that they have that extra hole on the other side of the disc. With normal Amiga disk drives, they don't have the double density drive, so they don't have a sensor for that hole, so it really doesn't matter. But the problem with some of these drives, they detect which one's high density or not. So you then end up noticing that it'll work only if you cover that hole. If you don't cover it, the Amiga just doesn't recognize this. Now when I mess around with drives like this, trying to get PC drives working on Amiga ones, I start feeling a sense of frustration because I believe the Amiga 4000, I don't know if any of the big box Amigas, the other ones, had high density drives, Commodore formatted. Now, why didn't they have the Amiga 1200 support high density? Because it would have been almost 2 meg. It is what it is. So what I'm gonna have to do is open this out and I'm gonna have to short that switch. Now this is the write protect write enable detector switch. Now this is the one which detects the, as you can see here, switch hidden. So that's high density one. So I just need to short those 2 pins out and it should be fine. There we go. Happy with that. So let's put this back together. Actually, no. I'm gonna solder at the LED as well, so to connect it to the case. So go on. If it was you, would you be one of those who puts DFO at the bottom and DF1 at the top? Or would you put DFO at the top or put DFO at the bottom? But the other way around makes sense too, so I'm kind of slightly torn. Okay, so I've made this black one the DFO, and I set the Gotek external thing, the jumpers, as PC, and I connected this. I think this guy likes being DF1. Because that's instantly, it's worked beautifully smoothly and instantly come on there, where it was being problematic as DF4 on this, sorry, using this one. However, this one worked really nicely on the Amiga 500. So whether this Amiga 1200, I don't know. It says Commodore on it. It's not an SCOM one, unless it actually is revision 1D4. Is it an SCOM? Back in the day, I used to have the revision 1A, and also the second one which I had was 2B. So I don't know what a 1D4 is. Maybe this turbo light can be DF1, because we've already got a DFO light there. Beautiful drive. I love its sound. It's prominent yet soft. Something loose in here. I need to sort out. Okay, I'm happy enough with that. Now let me tell you something about this external Gotek thingy. Now, I got this board here along with an external Gotek drive which I bought I think 3 years ago. It's set to this by default, DF1, and everything is set to Amiga. Now this works with a Gotek drive. However, when I tried it with a real floppy drive, a floppy drive that came out of the Amiga 1200 itself, so it's like a native floppy drive, it didn't work. So what I had to do, despite it being an Amiga drive, I had to set this. I mean, I don't know how it would be for a drive made for the Amiga. In other words, I don't know how it would be with a Shinon drive, the drive native to the Amiga 500. What I've found is that you need to set this jumper just to work on an Amiga native drive to PC. But with this Sony one, this drive here, I had to set even JP4 and JP3 as PC as well. So there we go, all of them are set to PC, so it's going to accept the PC drive. Okay, so what I need to do now is just check if the IDE drives, while I'm doing the floppy drive, check if the IDE drives are selected to slave and master on the correct drives. This is going to be fun. Maybe I can see from here. Okay. Top drive is set to master, bottom drive is set to slave. On the second IDE port, zip drive is set to master, as far as I know by its position. And this is another jumper thing. Earlier video in this series, I must have set this to slave, which is possibly no jumper. So basically my camera won't get here because, yeah, awkward position, but this had come loose. These wires here, which kept giving it intermittent audio, and yeah, This module is, I've connected it properly now, soldered new wire to this. Yes, it looks like chaos, it looks like a mess. But there's no method to this madness. I know in the future what I want to do is, I mean, I know the modules, I cannot do much about them, but the parts in between where I soldered the boards, the connector boards, I should really make a PCB of them and just make everything a bit more compact and less spaghettified. But that's for the future. It's working perfectly for now. Okay, so I've put that together now. As you can hear the hard drive there. Okay, beautiful. That works really well. Now let's check out this hard drive now. Let's see what that does. Okay. I guess that's connected and that's working. Did I install Easy IDE? I think I did, you know. So so the hard drive tries to boot before you put that in. Yeah, everything's initialized. So I think I'm gonna have to. It's been a while since I used a ball mouse. I'm not used to traveling this far. Let me go to the preferences. Okay, so we have my flash drive, the one that's from the Terrible Fire boot, and then we have my mechanical hard drive, which is mech boot, mech A and B. Okay, so let's find this device now before doing any formatting. Scan. Okay, that's the Maxter hard drive, and I think the rest are going to be Atari. Okay, there we are. So the Amiga, Compaq, and LG, they're actually there. So why didn't it pick up the CD in the LG drive then that day? Yes, Atari, and it's 0. Okay, formats. Okay, it's very specific. It's not giving me much. 10 minutes. No, quick. Ooh, that's exciting. Oh, it's the brand new Fujifilm one here. I don't know why I like Fujifilm. Also Konica. I don't know. Oh, nice beefy eject there. Okay, I'll put that aside and see what this one's like. The brand new one. Why are the Fujifilm ones sounding really strange? Are they damaged? It comes up on here. You can rename the basically works. I just love that beefy sound. It feels really like heavy duty. Alright, now to test this, again the CD-ROM, because it's clearly detecting it. So if this doesn't work, that means the mount point's not set or it's not installed. So I just need to probably run Easy IDE again. It's not even installed, it's not even on this thing, because we have the CF card, we have CD0, no CD1. Okay, so a couple of days later, and finally it arrived. And yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that I actually had to order it, because I have already 2 Compaq Flash to PCMCIA adapters. And you know, both, but one of these I was planning to use for that. I have now a SD to PCMCIA. Now, while that boots and does its thing, last night I was so excited because I got the zip drive and everything, all the other drives working. Basically, I spent yesterday evening formatting zip disks and going through some CDs and making, you know, backups of some of my files and some files to transfer over to this Amiga, you know, the sort of things that I'd be doing in the 90s, basically. And well, the late 90s when I first made my tower as well. Exciting times. Now let's see what's on this disk. This Compaq Flash adapter. Okay, it says CF card adapter, so I'm wondering if it's just FAT95 and all that. It's just the same. I think it will just work just the same. These are the things which I have. Okay, ADF Blitzer, CFD, yeah, got that already. Is there a new version? I have these files, I always do them manually each time. So I suppose it's useful. Okay, so I've just been messing around with SD cards for the past hour. Well, SD cards and CF cards. This works perfectly, right? Formatted this FAT32 as well as the SD card, right? This isn't a problem with regards to compact flash cards and SD cards, as far as I know. With the compact flash card, insert it in the PCMCIA, comes up on the screen. Remove the card itself and it disappears. Insert CF card again and it comes up, as it should. SD card adapter here. Insert that. Remove that. Goes away somewhat. Insert it back in. And unfortunately, it doesn't come up. The only way to get that to come up, remove the entire PCMCIA card adapter. Put that back in, and then it comes up. Had I known that this is going to be the case, I wouldn't have even bought that. So I'm unable to use it because I'll have to, stuff is going to be closed into the tower. Well, that sucks, doesn't it? PCMCIA card extenders exist, but they're stupidly expensive and not easy to find. There is a compact flash card extender. I've only seen this one on eBay. Yeah, unfortunately it costs just for what it is. And I've spent too much on this. So literally the only way to get stuff onto this is either, network. I'm going to attempt to install, try and install it again. But I've tried in the past. I'm just not being successful with that. So there is one thing that actually works. Resetting it, that also doesn't work. Right? Not there. What does work, however, is a cold boot. And yes, I'm going to do something about that hard drive sound because I remember back in the day I used to. There it is. It works. But you know something? At least it's not impossible. I just have to do a cold boot every time I want to take out the SD card. Yeah. If based on this, if anyone's got any ideas or any workarounds or knows something that I don't know, then please let me know. Okay, so before I continue, I'm going to do something about that hard drive, right? Because it's, of course, noisy. I used to, even back in the day, turn the motor off, and I've just remembered now when hearing it. First things first, I went to Amiga and I downloaded HD Sleep. Let's extract them. Okay, so what I need to do with that is put it in the C directory. Now edit the user startup. Since I have the mechanical hard drive as a slave, not a master, the zip drive is a master, I want to make sure I do this right. So run now the parameters. Master time, this is zip drive. I don't want anything disturbing the zip drive, so 0 actually makes it not effective, as in like it doesn't turn anything off. So slave time, this is my mechanical hard drive. Slack of slave time. I don't know, let's say 20 seconds, right? Actually, before any of this, let's make it not pop up. So CX pop up equals no. Okay. That's it. So that's saved. Reset the Amiga. So 20 seconds. Oh, nice. Nice and peaceful now. Perfect. So every time you try to access it, it'll fire up. And then after 20 seconds, it'll shut down again. The motor. Perfect. Just as I did back in the day. Love that little program. Okay, so now that that's sorted, let's see what we can do about our little friend here. Hopefully this saves me from cold booting. I'm shooting in the dark here. I've got no clue if this is gonna work or not. I'm just checking. This is what I do. I just experiment with things. You know, I thought mount and unmount was the standard command or standard commands in the Amiga system. Yeah, I guess not. So I got the program unmount from Aminet. I've already got mount in the C directory. What the P? Why? You mean it's not a blooming executable? So what the heck is it then? Okay, so next day now, after all this tinkering, I've ironed out, well, all the bugs that I could iron out. In fact, to be honest, everything is working, so I've ironed everything out. This developed an issue. The wires came out loose, so I had to replace it. And then just, it works absolutely perfectly now, solid, the audio amplifier. I had the issue with the drives, the IDE drives, and that, you know, the last time it didn't recognize some of them. I've installed Easy IDE and everything is fine, and including the hard drive here. Now, as you saw earlier on, I installed hard drive sleep, and in about 20 seconds now, it should turn off. There we go. Nice and quiet. The other issue I came across is when I switched this to Godek. When I had this connected as DFO, this worked perfectly. But when I switched it to Godek and tested that, I just couldn't insert a disk. I'd find it and everything, and when I pressed insert, like it inserts a disk. So I tried another drive, which is natively supported and modded, of course. This time, it inserted the disk, but it came up as not a DOS disk, like unreadable. PC to Amiga drive adapter converter, and I used another Panasonic drive here at the bottom. Now with this, it seems to work perfectly. So I can insert discs and everything, and then also with this one, it's sort of friendly enough to... I still don't think I'm doing this while the Amiga is on, because this is not powering down properly once it's switched back to this. Now, one thing I'm glad is that I had multiple drives to test this on, because each drive seems to behave differently. Each drive seems to have its own quirk. Now, let me show you the back of this, because it's the thing you've rarely seen. Now, it's kind of difficult to film this because I have to do it at a slant, because this tower is so huge that it's just, it's hard to get it all in frame. But yeah, this is the SD card. The actual PCMCIA SD card. No, it's not hot swappable, you know, like the compact flash one is, but at least it works. At least, you know, I can cold boot it. It's not completely redundant. Now, this is a mixer audio output. It's the output from the actual audio module that I've created. This one is directly Amiga audio, which is gonna go to my mixing console. These are, of course, all the Amiga ports. This is for DF1. I know it's kind of ugly, but, you know, it's the only solution right now. This is the keyboard port for the external Amiga keyboard. Power, of course. This is SVGA out from the Incognito AGA. And this is HDMI out from the Incognito AGA. So everything, basically everything that I need is on here. Rich initially thought that I was going to just install the Amiga on the motherboard side, screw it down, and of course, but the problem is with that is that there's a cutting here which Eyetech made, like a lengthways cut so the Amiga can fit in here. Unfortunately, with that side, what I'd have to do, just like I've done here, I'd have to replicate all the ports under these cutouts. So all that's left to do now with regards to this case is to finally put the cover back on and enjoy it. So now the Amiga Tower is in its home. This is where it was planned to be, always. Now the surprise is that I have a beautiful Sony Trinitron SVGA monitor. Now this is an old monitor which Rich bought many years ago, and it ended up at his parents' place just unused in the corner. So I thought, why not just make use of it? And I couldn't, and this was around the time when I bought the Invision AGA. And of course, naturally, I was so excited to use the SVGA port and see how it looks on this. And I have to say, it looks absolutely gorgeous. I don't think I've ever seen an Amiga with a picture this beautiful. The camera does not do it justice whatsoever. It's got this beautiful glass sheen, and it's just, the icons look delicious. If you want to describe them, they just do. It's just, you can almost touch them. If you've got an Invision AGA or an Invision, try and get yourself a CRT monitor, a CRT SVGA monitor. It looks gorgeous. Now, along with the rest of the setup here, with my mixing console and everything, it just fits in perfectly. I can, for hours on end, go onto Octamed and create my music, and it's on my old Euro rack and the other Euro racks there. It's just, everything is accessible now, and I'm just excited to start making music again. My next album. And as much as the SD card is not hot swappable, unlike the CF card to PCMCIA, still, it's there, and I'm thankful that I've at least got a means of backing stuff up and taking stuff off this and putting new, larger files on this. Yeah, sure, I may need a cold boot, but it doesn't matter. I'm thankful that it still works. And also, now that the outer case is on, everything is just more quieter and softer. It's dampened, and of course the hard drive itself, the motor is off, but at least the CD-ROM drives are quieter when they're in operation. And of course, I can play audio CDs. This is one of mine I've put on CD. A very special thank you to my top tier patrons: Rich Garbett, Axel Dominator, Jason Marison, Corey Ostman, Mark Bosak, and Monochrom Minako. Thank you all so much for your support. I really appreciate it.